Alright, so welcome back to the channel. Aston Villa have gotten their transfer activity this summer off to an absolute flyer with the addition of Youri Tielemans following his departure from Leicester on a free transfer after Leicester's relegation. And yeah, basically in this video I'm going to be going through the role that I think Youri Tielemans will play in this Aston Villa team under Unai Emery next season as they prepare for the Premier League as well as European Conference League football next season as well. So yep, I guess we'll just get straight into it. But first and foremost, actually, subscribe to the channel. What are you doing if you haven't subscribed yet? We're looking to hit 3,000 subscribers on this channel as soon as we bloody well possibly can. Leave a like if you do go on to enjoy this video as well. And yeah, we are going to be doing a lot more of these individual signings, transfers videos where I basically look at an individual transfer that has happened and yep, just basically identify and showcase to you guys where I think that player will fit into that club's new system. And finally, hit that notification bell if you're new around here because you will never miss one of these absolutely fucking quality videos, said no one ever. But yeah, without further more jibber jabber, let's get into analysing Youri Tielemans and how Aston Villa will be able to utilise him next season and beyond. So first and foremost, in terms of Unai Emery and how he sets up with this Aston Villa team, it is more than often a 4-4-2, and he likes his teams to be solid defensively but also be able to to transition between the lines very comfortably and very quickly and be direct in that style of play. And in terms of where I think Youri Tielemans will fit in to this Aston Villa team, as you can see on screen, this is where I think Tielemans will fit in more than likely in this Aston Villa team. It will be next to Boubacar Kamara in that double midfield pivot. And with Emi Martinez in goal, you've got Alex Moreno and Matty Cash as the fullbacks who will play more than likely an elbow tactic, which they have done so far in Unai Emery's tenure so far at Aston Villa, with Moreno being the more likely one to dart forward and offer himself an extra option in the final third, with Matty Cash then cutting into make a back three alongside Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa. Then Boubacar Kamara will more than likely drop a little bit deeper than Tielemans, or has done for Douglas Luiz this season for Aston Villa since Unai Emery arrived last November or December. That will more than likely still remain the case, with Kamara dropping just a bit deeper in between the two defenders to collect the ball from the back four or off Emi Martinez to offer himself in terms of building up play from the back really. And I think Tielemans will sit just in front of Kamara, offering that extra link really, and offering that extra passing lane and make it easier and more fluid from Aston Villa transitioning from defence to attack. Then you've got Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn who play as the wide midfielders in this system, but they do play more inverted in possession, which as you can see here on screen, here's how I think Aston Villa will set up more than likely in terms of if you go on SofaScore for example for the majority of Aston Villa's games next season, I think this is what you're mostly going to see in terms of where the players will be on the pitch for the majority of the game, with, like I said, Alex Moreno bombing forward and offering himself the option in the final third, with Matty Cash then playing a little bit deeper but still playing as almost an automatic fullback. Kamara then dropping a little bit deeper in between Tielemans to collect the ball and offer himself in build-up play and just screening the defence, with Youri Tielemans then playing a little bit more advanced as almost a number 8 like he played with at Leicester with Wilfred Ndidi when they were in their pomp at Leicester. John McGinn then offering himself as almost making a midfield 3 when he inverts to play inside more and play in the half spaces, and with his energy as well be able to cover ground like Youri Tielemans will probably have to do in this Aston Villa team as well. But I'll get on to why he will fit that role perfectly in a minute. Youri Tielemans, you've got Jacob Ramsey then similar enough to John McGinn, offering himself in terms of inverting in and playing in the half spaces, but Ramsey is a player more so than McGinn who is very strong and very positive in terms of playing in and around the final third, and will be able to link up play with Ollie Watkins and Alex Moreno down that left hand side and with Leon Bailey in and around the half spaces and in and around the penalty area, with Ollie Watkins then and Leon Bailey playing the furthest two forward, and obviously with Watkins and Bailey being the main threat of goals, with Ollie Watkins playing off the left where he's obviously very dangerous and has proved in his time at Aston Villa under Unai Emery so far that he is very, very dangerous in that left channel when he isolates his defenders, and he will be able to go left foot or right foot and bang, it's a goal. And that's what we've seen from Ollie Watkins countless times this season since Unai Emery's arrival last November. So in terms of the individual role that I think Youri Tielemans will play in this system, as you can see obviously, I've gone for him in the midfield double pivot alongside Boubacar Kamara, and like I've mentioned, I think he will play slightly more advanced than Kamara in terms of offering that extra passing lane and offering that extra link from defence to attack really. And I think he'll have every bit of attribute to do that, because I think in the midfield double pivot, I think both of those midfielders, when you think of Boubacar Kamara and Douglas Luiz as well as Youri Tielemans now, I think in terms of the attributes they need to possess, I think mainly is to be technical and to be able to get on the ball and make things happen and be able to receive the ball off his defence or off Kamara, for example, if you look at it from Douglas Luiz's perspective, and to be able to distribute the ball around and create that link, like I said, in transitional play from defence to attack, but also out of possession as well, to be able to cover ground, and even in possession sometimes as well, for Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, who like to play those line breaking passes at times, which sometimes will go wayward and sometimes will be interrupted by interceptions from opposition midfielders. And I think it's important for the likes of Tielemans and Kamara and McGinn and Douglas Luiz to have that industry and have that tenacity and bite in possession, to be able, or out of possession I should say, to be able to win the ball back and to be able to claim those second balls, which I think Youri Tielemans perfectly suits with the fact that he is well able to cover ground, as we've seen at his time at Leicester so far. And like I said, I mean, I'll highlight those technical qualities of Youri Tielemans with two stats here. 6.49 passes into the final 30 averaged for Leicester last season, puts him very high up in comparison to central midfielders in the top 5 European leagues, and the same goes for 6.95 progressive passes per 90 as well, which will prove to be a positive asset that he possesses in his game, Youri Tielemans, in this Aston Villa system, alongside Kamara in that midfield, or Douglas Luiz if he can play as the number 6 when Kamara is, say, absent or needs to be rested, because of course Aston Villa will have, with the European football, a lot of games to be preparing for next season. And overall, I think it's fair to say that Youri Tielemans is just a tidy footballer. I mean, we've seen in his time at Leicester, even with the Belgian national team, I really like Tielemans as a player in possession. Like I said, I think he holds the ball well, I think he carries the ball well, and I think that his passing ability will be very prominent in this Aston Villa team and will be a massive asset for Unai Emery to have in this Aston Villa team. I think another thing as well is the fact that Youri Tielemans, one thing that his addition in this squad will give Unai Emery is options, because Unai Emery is a manager that doesn't like to just stick to the same game plan overall, or the same formation I should say. He has sometimes gone with a 4-2-3-1 depending on opposition, and I think Tielemans will be able to play in that role as well, in terms of being almost number 10, or you could say the most advanced of a 3-man midfield alongside Boubacar Kamara and Douglas Luiz, or even John McGinn if he was to play there as well. So I think Tielemans will be able to maintain himself in that role as well, and that's why I think it's another one of those options for Unai Emery, another one of those signings that just gives him the option of being able to be flexible in his style of play, which he absolutely loves, of course. And I think a lot of people in general, on my overall thoughts on Youri Tielemans, I think a lot of people in general I think the judgment is very much shadowed on Youri Tielemans in terms of his quality as a player by how poor Leicester were last season. I mean, Leicester in previous seasons before last season really did showcase the qualities of Youri Tielemans amongst other players like James Maddison and Wilfred Ndidi and Ricardo Pereira, for example, and even Jamie Vardy, who's fallen off a cliff in the last 12 months. But I think this fresh start for Tielemans will massively suit him, and I think they will be able to get the best out of him, especially with Unai Emery, who is a top-class manager, a top-class coach, and a top-class tactician. And with the fact that Tielemans is now 26 years of age, he's just about coming into his prime now, and will have something of a point to prove in this Aston Villa team next season, which I think, like I said, is just more reason as to why I think he will succeed at Aston Villa next season and going forward, and will be able to contribute massively under Unai Emery in European football and the Premier League next season for Aston Villa. And especially to get him on a free transfer, I think is absolutely quality business. I think there was probably going to be a few teams sniffing about for Tielemans over the course of this transfer window, so to get him in the door quickly as well, very early in the window before the transfer window actually officially opens, I think is a very good piece of business. And I think with Aston Villa, the most important thing in this transfer window is going to be the strength and depth that they add to this squad, because there's no doubt, in my opinion, that the starting 11, the quality in the starting 11 is more than there. I mean, I was even thinking, making that graphic on screen, that I felt harsh and I felt dirty dropping Douglas Luiz from the starting 11 with how good he's been under Unai Emery, but unfortunately it's just the way it's going to be, and that's the role I think Tielemans will play. And I think to have that strength and depth is going to be massively important for Aston Villa, fighting on four fronts next season when you think of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup taken into perspective as well. I think in terms of what Aston Villa need to do now, between now and the end of the transfer window, I think maybe strengthening the centre-back department might be an option, because Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, even though they have been decent, to be fair to them, since the arrival of Emery, but I think if they were to add maybe one left-sided centre-back, maybe someone like Pau Torres, for example, just off the top of my head really, I think that could be a very good addition, with Diego Carlos then coming back into the fold gold as well, which I forgot about. Then I think maybe strengthening in terms of depth with, say, the wide midfield players or the striker to cover for Ollie Watkins, or maybe a right back because obviously Ashley Young has left the club. But I think if Aston Villa were to get 3 or 4 more signings in the door, mainly focusing on the squad depth ahead of that European schedule next season, I don't see why Aston Villa couldn't go all the way, to be fair, in the Conference League next season, especially given the pedigree in European competition of Unai Emery. I mean, we've seen it at his time at Sevilla. He's able to win European competitions like it's no one's business, and with this Aston Villa team, he will more than have the quality to be able to compete on that European front, as well as succeeding in the Premier League next season, especially if they were to add to their quality in depth. So yeah, that's how I think Youri Tielemans will fit into this Aston Villa system. It does look like the Aston Villa will be signing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, according to reports. And the Villa fans, if you want me to do a video on how I think that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will fit into this Aston Villa team, make sure to smash that like button. And I feel like a proper YouTuber now saying smash that like button, guys, hit that subscribe button, you've got 5 seconds, all that rubbish. But yeah, you know what I mean. I will do a video on Oxlade-Chamberlain to Aston Villa if the support is there from Aston Villa fans. Like I said, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, massively appreciated that would be, and subscribe if you are new. Turn on the notification bell if you are new as well, or even if you're not new. And yep, I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll chat to you later.